Welcome to Rauta's Black Metal Reviews. This time we go to Switzerland with a new LP release. As you can see, I have already unsleeved it because review purposes and all. This one came to me as vinyl for review, so that's what I'm gonna review. That's what I'm listening to. So this is self-financed release. Those who are previously seen my takes on Aspaarn know that these are always self-financed ones, which I find very, very fascinating because, let's be honest about it. Printing vinyl is expensive, and having the DIY kind of mentality, which means that the artist in question is putting a lot of effort and a lot of money in these particular runs. Where a lot of labels even, which do have usually more money than a given individual artist, go for like, okay, you just download it, man, because, sending CDs is expensive. And then some individuals like, dude, bro, bitch, please. I'm printing my own vinyl and I'm sending it to you for review, even though it costs a lot of money. So let that sink in for a bit. I guess some people just have more capacity or passion. Anyhow, enough of that kind of rant. Let's just do the unsleeving to the very end, and meaning let's remove the wraps, the plastic kind of stuff, and let's not destroy this one. Probably some eyes are already like, oh, don't do that, you're gonna destroy the cardboard. Let's be honest about it, cardboard is not that fragile, especially when the shrink is. It's gonna bend first. So here we have a dead creature, obviously, in the middle of a tree. You could see really some kind of Jesus symbolism here. A dark forest and some creatures, some crazy ass roots right there. And should give you already a little bit of idea what's going on. This is not happy music, not uplifting moments, but raw black metal. On the other side of the vinyl, you will have a Xerox photo. Once again, a forest. I'm assuming it's going to be Switzerland. Plus track listing, plus logo. So, very simplistic. Inside, there is this inlay, which once again gives you the recording information and some Swiss mountainside and very, very basic information. And on the other side, you will see the lyrical output. So, all in all label quality work, if you ask me. And then finally, last but definitely not least, already getting dust. I don't know why, because this has been, outside the sleeve for, maybe 30 minutes. But here it is. Even though I used this non-static brush to get the dust off, well, these babies are sometimes a bitch. What is curious enough that label A and B are here marked with hand symbols, hand prints, if you will. So let's put this black vinyl back to the sleeve and start talking about the music, for which case I'm gonna use once again Metal Archive site as backdrop. Someone recently told me it's not really cult thing and they're probably haters for me using that, and I'm like, would they rather see my face in full screen? People are sometimes weird. You don't have to like Metal Archives, and you just have to understand that sometimes it means, yes, it's a little bit outdated for various reasons. But I think that's a lesser problem than seeing my face, in full size here for the sake of review. Because after all, you get at least some information, even if it's a little bit outdated and all. So while I'm packing this stuff, you get to see the basic stuff. Switzerland, Lausanne. And while there is no official year of, when this was founded, we can safely assume it was early 2020s, because the very first album came in 2021. And it was soon followed by 2022 release. So now you get a little bit of the idea. Maybe it's one of those projects that got started during the COVID pandemic years, because in year 2020, nothing was really happening. And a lot of bands actually popped up like, hey, this is the perfect time for start a new band or whatever, because nothing is really happening. There are no gigs, there are no events, there are no nothing except your rehearsal place, and then you pick your guitar and instruments and suddenly, boom, there you have a new band. Quickly recapping this is just meant to kind of show you that this band has been operating only around 5 years and already 4 albums out, plus some EPs. And I'm lucky that I've gotten some releases from this very band for review. So I'm somewhat acquainted with the history and the past. Not every release, obviously, but enough to say this is my first or second time listening to this very band. And this is indeed one-man band by an artist, Solaris Lupus. I don't know exactly what it means, but since Lupus is referring to wolf, Solaris to sun wolf, anyone? I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but let's that just go like that. So here we have Oblations in Atrocity, a 43 minutes, according to the Metal Archives information. Obviously, I couldn't measure the minutes that easily like you would do with CD player because I was listening to on vinyl. So this is, I guess, based on the digital release information, which was already out in February 15. So here you have the information for other formats as well. So vinyl and digital. Curiously, no CD, no tape. No tape I can totally understand, but it's curious because usually people opt for, CDs. They're easier to sell and send and print than vinyl. But this makes it even more worthy release in my opinion. So let's put this on the side. So I'm going to talk about the music. Now, throughout these 6 tracks, you will hear raw black metal, but maybe not the most usual kind. Of course, this depends on what kind of background you're going to compare. In my case, I'm talking about their, early 90s, the bands like Darkthrone and Ildiarn, and a lot of other bands which are more into the same school of things. You could really talk about bands like early Von or bands like Hot or whatever. But my point here is, raw end black metal can be seen in so many different ways. Nowadays, for example, there are lots of bands from Portugal which are definitely tapping into the more primitive side, but it's all often more about, creating this rather lo-fi production rather than making the music raw. So it's almost like the music is not raw or primitive as such, but when you just put it in even kind of compressed in a way through this rather raw production, the end result is going to sound raw, even if the music could be seen in totally different light, if only there was a better production. And that's actually the very question with this given band. Is Aspaarn raw as such because of the production or because of the songwriting? And for me, I could say kind of 50-50, meaning some of the riffs are really going more into the primitive directions. But there are parts where it just gets kind of odd. It's not like it's avant-gardist or experimental, but some of the riffs are quite weird. Kind of like, I think the artist himself wrote to me, weird beast in the room. And to be honest, frankly speaking, some of the riffs are quite good and some of them are like, what the fuck? Meaning that should be someone, producing or questioning, do you really think this riff is good enough for your album? Now, on top of that, some of the songs are quite fucking lengthy. And that's my common problem with a lot of black metal bands. Most people are not capable of writing good songs, past 5-6 minute marks. So when you go for 8, 9, 10 minutes, I'm always like, could you have, consider writing shorter songs, making better structures on the way, keeping it a little bit repetitive, but, also like a lesser amount of riffs and ideas. Meaning sometimes songs like, for example, the ending track here could be really seen as 2 different songs. Less riffs per song and more repetition as such, better structures, and it would be more, memorable. But obviously artists do what artists want, so I'm not here to say what they should do, I'm just questioning it. And for me, Oblations in Atrocity is once again those albums that is very, very much dividing me into 2 parts. Some parts in my head is saying like, yeah, this is not working. Why? Because once again, the song structures, the songwriting in general is not that good. I don't mind the rawness, to be honest. That's not the problem here. But sometimes it feels like a little bit more focus should have been in question. So those who like raw end of black metal, they have no reason not to check out Aspaarn. But this is not for everybody. If black metal in general is still quite marginal genre, even more it is when it comes to this kind of stuff. For a couple of reasons, the production and the songwriting. So for me, this is still a very, very much work in progress. It's not like it's a bad release. far from it, but it's very questionable how will it work on the long run. I'm thinking there could be parts where this is just, needs to be what I just said, split into smaller portions, shorter songs, more memorability. Some people kind of dislike the idea, like why black metal or metal in general should work with, kind of rock and roll patterns, like a riff A, then you have riff B, maybe a bridge, or just chorus parts, and then you kind of do it enough of times and that's it. But, it's more like human brain. It's like with, food and dishes. You don't want 10 different things on your plate. You rather have like the meat and potatoes and some veggies. All you need is some 3 different areas. And that's often true with, songs as such. Some people might disagree, and then probably they are the right kind of audience for this one. But I'm just saying keeping things in more simple is more effective than just having a lot of ideas and on the same table, and then it starts sounding progressive without actual artists being that progressive with the music. So this is a tough cookie to crack in that sense. Like I said, it's not bad, but it kind of is very, very much an acquired taste, which you need to have in order to understand and like this kind of music. Now, those who do, the good news is the vinyl is out there. And those who don't, well, can't like everything, so there's that. I hope that Aspaarn will focus making better songs and more compact songs in the future. That's pretty much my only hope. And maybe questioning some of those riffs which are just kind of a weird, even black metal context. But this is my take. Yours might be totally different. And what can I say is I hope you like it. And if you do, maybe consider buying it. Now off you go. Links are provided in the description box. Start listening and give it a go.